Hello, Serendipitous here with my TTRPG shelf, and yep, it is time to talk about Curse of Strahd. I think in terms of D&D books, I think this book might actually be the very first D&D book I ever purchased. Because my friend generously let me use his his player's handbook, monster manual, and dungeon master's guide for a while before I bought them myself. This adventure was fairly new. Around the time I was trying to get more into start getting into D&D, and um, I loved the classic gothic horror vibe of this, and I did not know at the time, but I know now. Curse of Strahd is one of the most popular and most classic published adventures in Dungeons and Dragons Fifth Edition, and just in general as well. Um, this vampire villain has been around for decades of Dungeons and Dragons play, and I have run. You can see, I've used this book a lot. I've run this adventure. I've run Curse of Strahd for like 6 or 7 times in the past like 6 or 7 years. Like I've run this adventure for so many people. My wife Cobweb, she was probably a player in like half um, of those Curse of Strahd campaigns. She's very good at separating her own knowledge from her character's knowledge, and so it works out very nicely. One cool little so not only is it a classic in D&D, but it also is very much just classic gothic horror. Strahd von Zarovich is the big bad here, obviously. Like standard, like Dracula level of kind of like a Dracula villain with his own castle and everything. In charge of a whole country called Barovia. One cool mechanic though is, and there's some really awesome art in this book as well. One cool it talks about running a horror game and things like that. One cool mechanic has to do with basically there's sort of a tarot reading that happens where three of the cards 1 through 3 represent magic items that will help the adventuring group defeat Strahd. Like if they get these magic items, like a sword of sunlight, a holy symbol, and Strahd's diary, basically, then you will have a leg up on your eventual fight against Strahd. Because anytime I run this adventure anyway, the conflict against Strahd von Zarovich, the big bad, is basically inevitable. Like it's pretty much clear from the get-go that this is the guy you're supposed to be after from day one. But you have to build up. You have to build up to it, right? So cards 1 through 3 reveal where the location or give you hints of the locations of the magic items. Card 4 gives you a hint on an ally that can help you defeat Strahd, and then card 5 will tell you where in his castle you can find him. And each of them have like different options. You can use a standard deck of playing cards, or you can do what I did, spend about like 10-15 bucks on the Taroka deck. There is a unique, like a particular game you can play with these, but I got this, like I use this all most of the time that I run this campaign. But yeah, these are essentially this is essentially kind of like a tarot. It's called Taroka, so I mean it's not a tarot, but it's got four suits like swords, glyphs, coins, and pentacles, and numbers and everything. And just like in a tarot deck, there is a low deck, which are the ones with all the numbers, and there's a high deck, kind of like all of these do. Well, they should not have numbers. Not sure what happened there, but yeah. So you have a high deck and you have a low deck, and they they generally serve different purposes. But yeah, it's really cool. Like I don't use very many props in my games, mostly because most of my games tend to be played with people online, like over Discord calls or something. But I usually tend to sort of like focus on just like I don't do a lot of prep. Like I've just learned over the years that it's best to just focus on everyone having fun. As long as you know the adventure, which if it's a pre-written adventure, especially Curse of Strahd, yes, I am very familiar with it. I know pretty much everything there is to know about this, at least as far as running this. But yeah, Barovia is a really cool place. Like I know this map very well. The entrance and everything. I have a lot of memories of pretty much every single section here, the introductory village, like the plot hooks that kind of get you going. This chapter is all about Castle Ravenloft, which is the castle is enormous. It is huge and it is a labyrinth. Like stairs go to places that don't make sense. You think you can go one way, but you can't. You have to go a different way and everything like that. Yeah, various towns and things like that. I could go on and on about each of these individual places, each of these people, and like what I like to do with these. But again, I don't want these videos to take too long. I'm just kind of giving an overview of but yeah, like Argynvostholt, a cool fortress. A fortress that used to be home to some an order of the Order of the Silver Dragon, although they are destroyed now. A very small village with a strange abbey. Yeah, Solenka Pass and the ruins of Verez. There's a Baba Yaga type hag living there. The Van Richten Tower, kind of like a wizard tower. That the same Van Richten for Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. There's a winery with a haunted tree and some haunted plants. The Amber Temple is really cool. And it's so called because the facade is made of amber, and there's blocks of amber in here that are basically encasing and enclosing dark powers that will offer you dark gifts, dark blessings. An amber golem, I love that. And lots of times players accept those dark blessings, but they also get there's consequences for it, right? Yester Hill is like a sort of like Yester Hill and the Werewolves Den, just kind of places of cults favoring Strahd, essentially. Another awesome picture of Strahd on top of his horse named. This is called a nightmare, a dark nightmare horse. The horse's name is Bocephalus. It doesn't come up often in a lot of campaigns I run, but yeah. And then also this introductory adventure, Death House. I've run this several times as well. Death House is fantastic. It's just a lot of really cool atmosphere. I love it's like the perfect introduction to this setting. And now here we come into magic items. This is Strahd's diary. There's a couple other magic items that you can pick up as well. There's the holy symbol and then the sword of sunlight and a couple of other things as well. Various monsters and NPCs, right? And especially particularly powerful ones. There are some that I've used and some that I don't really. And then also, for people's benefit, if they can use they can I guess scan or copy these pages. And there's some letters as well in the Strahd's diary and stuff. And yeah, I've used this map a lot. You may notice that it's definitely well used here. But essentially, this is the whole map of Barovia. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit it all here. But yeah, I'd probably have to raise this. There we go. So yeah, map of Barovia. I'm very familiar with this. Generally, the players start out here in the village, the castle, and all of that. Speaking of the castle, oh my goodness. So this is all of Castle Ravenloft right here. With the entrance is over there, and you guys just got this whole maze of things. There's a catacombs at the bottoms, Strahd's tomb, and other things. Various there's traps all over the place. There's staircases. There's a couple of towers. Honestly, sometimes I just run. There have been a couple of times where instead of running the whole Curse of Strahd adventure, I've just run this castle. Like this castle in and of itself, you could spend several sessions alone on this one. So yeah. So even though Out of the Abyss was my first D&D adventure, published D&D adventure, Curse of Strahd is without a doubt one of my all-time favorites. There are still some other published adventures that I really love running, obviously I'll definitely talk about that. But this is the one I know the most about. This is the one that I'm not just the most familiar with, but also just I know the ins and outs of this campaign. I could run it for pretty much anybody, anyone who wants, anyone who's looking for a spooky, classic gothic horror adventure like this. This is it. Definitely, I'll Although I will say, like, obviously there'll always be a place in my heart for this adventure. The memories that I've made running this so many times. But there are also other adventures that I've come to really appreciate in recent years as well. But yeah, definitely this one. Um, yeah, I'm very grateful I started playing D&D Fifth Edition when I did, because this was, like I said, this was brand new at the time, and man, what a way to start, right? So yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and this my sort of retrospect, and just talking about being able to have the fifth edition of this game, of this adventure, and yeah, until next time, all the best.